a little special intro, a little song brought to you by none other than our favorite Bob.
The best Christmas song is Little Drummer Boy, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I remember my Ukrainian grandpa singing it. I have no gifts to give.
You're listening to Keeping It Rosy with Frank Rose and friends.
Wasn't that lovely? That song. Oh,
So good.
we miss you, Bob. Merry Christmas, Bob.
Man, that song was definitely great, and it wasn't the first time that I heard it.
Yeah, so good. I hope it's Marcella approved before I'm just like, yeah, so good.
So good. It's so great.
I'm so nervous now.
I know.
Disclaimer, Mars and Hugo have no idea what this song is.
Yay! And that's Keeping It Rosy. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to this episode of Keeping It Rosy. Honestly, I don't even know what episode it is. And honestly, I don't really care. This is a special night. It's a real night. It's one night that we decided to say, yo, it's been a long year, 2020. And the past few weeks or month or so has been long for your boy, Mr. Frank Rose. So I decided, hey, gang, how about not just keeping it rosy, but we keeps it real.
We should all say that together at the same time. We are keeping
it real. Oh, that kind of sounded sexual. If it was and you liked it, cool. If you didn't, I'm sorry.
Subscribe to our OnlyFans.
That's keeping it super real.
Oh, that's keeping it hosey. All right, so no judgment though. No judgment. I respect the hustle.
Hey, you gotta eat.
You gotta eat. It's 2020.
Times were tough.
Yeah.
Guys, so if this is your first time listening to this episode or listening to the show, Keeping It Rosy, sometimes life can suck. I fucking know. But that doesn't mean we can't laugh at it. What? That's crazy. Why would you say that? Yeah. They say laughter is the best medicine. I know it's cliche. I've been hearing it all my life. And I've been applying it, and it's been pretty awesome. You know, so what I like to do on this podcast is me alongside with Johnny Hugo, a.k.a. Broken Gumbo Machine, Marcella, who I won't say her last name because I don't ruin, a.k.a. Mars the Mayor. And tonight, you know, always our producer, Ed who? Ed Sue. That's right, man. The gang, we all here, and we like to talk about life. We laugh, we drink, we smoke. We just like, you know, it's like being in a barbershop or at a bar, you know, with the homies. Or not a bar anymore. You do your own little King of the Hill type bars where you hang out in front of your yard, 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get some lawn chairs and get it popping.
There you go. And Banksy, Mr. Dog, we love you. You know, he's being kind of mad because we're not giving him attention, but that's okay.
I feel that.
Like the real Banksy. The real Banksy is kind of amazing, but anyway.
So yeah, guys, how are you? How you been? I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Oh, you know. It's been so long since somebody's asked me that.
Really?
Well, like face to face.
Oh, okay.
True.
I will shout out to all the people that like check in. You know, like you have your friends that you don't see all the time, but they'll say like, check in, how you doing? Like that does mean a lot to me. And sometimes I'm like, how am I feeling? Sometimes like you know when you're feeling shit. I mean, Frankie, you know when you're feeling shitty. like you know. But then other times you're like, how do I feel? Today was. Now that I think about it, I'm sad. Yeah. But like hungry, but like a little horny. But also happy.
Me, literally 100% of the time.
Right?
It's funny. I tweeted this the other day. I was like, if my emotions were an arcade game, they would be the ping pong machine.
Yes.
I feel like 1 minute I'm angry, 1 minute I'm happy, the next minute I'm sad, the next minute I'm depressed, the next minute I'm horny, then I'm depressed and horny, and then I'm sad and angry at the same time.
Depressed and horny is like bad combination. Depressed and horny is like doing liquor before beer.
Isn't that in the clear?
Hey.
I don't know. It's been a while.
Or is it beer before liquor, you get you sicker?
Oh wait.
So it's more like beer.
It's like
His head exploded like Big Mouth.
Frank, you just broke me.
Oh man. So that's an interesting thought. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I actually went out. What was it last night? Shout out to the Sunroom. Had a drink at the bar, and it's just like weird being out and seeing people and having conversation with people in real life, like with the bartender, plexiglass and all. But
I'm with the bartender.
I'm like, oh, okay, oh yeah, people.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
What about you, Mars?
It's been interesting for me as well. I was like, I went to Pennsylvania, and it was a good time. But then while I was there, I had some family issues. Uh-oh. That I won't totally divulge into for their protection, I guess.
What? But, shit?
Wait, okay, hold on.
Are you like witness protection shit now? Like, hold up.
Okay, I guess like it doesn't really matter.
The Brazilian
I just won't
mafia?
say who. Yeah, I just won't say who. So I guess someone in my family. I woke up and found out that they were in jail. And it was just like, holy shit. It was just such like a, oh my God, like, cannot believe this happened.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. It was like, my first thought was like anger. It was like, oh my God, like, how could you do this? That's so stupid.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. I saw that person this week, and like, all I wanted to do was just like love on them.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's like, one, it did kind of kill like my innocence towards that person because I put them on such like a spotlight for like my whole life. And then like this happened. I'm like, oh, like they're just human, So that's kind of real, I guess. And then another thing too that I learned was like, I feel like a lot of times I try to like be so logical about shit. I'm like, why would you do this? That doesn't make any sense. Like A, B, C, D reasons, but like that's not what people need half the time.
No.
Yeah. That is. You ever find yourself in that situation where you look at somebody else and then you see them doing something, you're like, why do they do that? But then you ever find yourself in a moment or on the other side of a moment, you're like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, none of it made sense. I didn't want to. I knew everything. Like you said, A, B, C, and D didn't add up. But like, you still, there's just that part of you that you're going through something, or you had a lapse in judgment. Or
I was having this like really good conversation with a coworker once, and he said like the older you get, the more you tend to understand people and like the mistakes that they've made. You're like, the older you get, the more you understand that like cheating doesn't make you a bad person, but like you like get like where they're coming from. Doesn't mean it's
except you, Martin. If you cheat, you get
true.
It does make you a bad person. Right?
So now we can say the people's names. Okay.
But like where they're coming from, right? Because like you still have like, even like when you're in a relationship, you still have like crushes on other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, no, never, ever. I've never been attracted to any other person other than my wife ever.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like the older you get, the more you just tend to understand the humanity of things. Like nothing is black and white. Nope. Like everything is so much more complicated than we were taught to believe when we were younger.
Yeah. Your parents aren't always right.
Fuck, my parents are never right.
Yo, that is.
Although they like
that is a
swear by it. Some parents do, man.
Do you ever you ever realize that shit? Not even your parents, but like your pastor, or like somebody that has like an authority figure that taught you something, and you kind of just took it as law, and then you get older. And it's not like you totally throw out everything they said, but at some point you're like, wait a minute.
But you don't make it law.
Exactly,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been really analyzing my parents' generation. Not just my parents, but my in-laws and my friends' parents. Like, that generation of, they worry more about what other people may say about them versus just living their life, where our generation is more like, this is me, take it or leave it. It's just, they're really into like authority of like, well, since I'm the father, you're the son, so you must obey. Like, it's just a chain of commands.
You don't question me.
Yeah, there's no Gilmore Girls like we talked previously. It's, I'm the queen, you're the princess. You're still under me. And it's just a lot of like, I feel like our generation is a generation of undoing of a lot of old ways. A lot of things that worked before will probably and don't work now. Technology has
worked.
Worked. Technology has evolved. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that, things that may have worked before may not work now. The way we do shopping, the way we sell, the way we, keep tabs with people, whether it's, like you said, it was so weird to say hi and have someone in person look me in the eye and say, how you been? How you doing? What's new? Versus a text or a Facebook message.
And before that, it was like our generation. Sorry, Mars. They were like, "Oh, you're always talking on the phone." And now your generation, you all talk on the phone. I mean, maybe you do to like you
guys are always texting,
exactly,
or
texting or Snapchatting. Now
There's
it's just
still communication,
still
constantly.
communication, yeah. But now it just looks different.
That's it. That's all it is, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
man. Yeah, I've been realizing that recently, like that my parents were wrong about a lot. But not like in a judgmental way of like they were wrong. You know what I mean? Like they only lived by the rules that they were, taught to live by. And so if they're in this, the way they grew up was how things around them worked, and that's all they knew, they're not going to be as maybe progressive as like your generation because they didn't have that much information.
Right.
That's right. So. Your generation, if I may add on, is like you have more access to information.
True.
And you have more choices, options, if you will. Like where our generation was like, whatever was really taught in our school and in our home or our church community, those were the options that was presented to us.
Or like Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, huh? Oh yeah, that was a source of knowledge for us growing up.
I don't think I've ever opened up an encyclopedia in my life.
Yo,
Wow.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, way too much effort.
Or like Lycos.com. I just dated myself.
Yeah, when I said like
Jeeves,
my parents,
Search.com.
when I said my parents don't know anything, I was totally kidding because I think it sets like a really unhealthy precedence where like, oh, like they don't know everything, so I can't like listen to anything they say because like I'm not asking for anyone to be perfect either,
Right.
Because I'm not perfect. If I ever wanted to be in a role of leadership, like I would not want anyone to expect that of me either.
Mars for mayor.
Mars for mayor, that's right.
I think now I'm not a parent. I've only been a
tío.
I've been an uncle, brother, and a son. But the idea of being able to question and not being disrespectful in the sense of just saying, okay, mom, okay, dad, that's your opinion on the matter. But now that I'm 18 or 21, or I'm out of the house, I'm an adult, you have to respect that now what you say is not the king's way. It's an opinion now. It's your counselor or your consultant. And I know that sounds kind of like a little fucked up, but I mean, I'm grateful that my parents kind of built that relationship with me. If I need anything, they're there, but at the same time, it's like they threw me in the pool. They're watching me, but there's no floaty. They're like, okay, kick. All right, swim. And you're like, but this is hard, or I have questions, and they're guiding me, but they're not doing it for me.
I still wish that because especially maybe coming from a Latin family, but I always wanted to know why. I'm like, okay, well you're telling me this, but why? And asking why was such a problematic thing.
Oh yeah.
And I had friends who were able to have logical conversations with their parents and be like, hey, this doesn't make any sense, or I don't agree with this way that you're saying it, and they would see it their way, their children would talk about it their way, and it was such a healthy thing. That was not a thing with me growing up.
Not to make it about race, but were these friends white?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and then maybe
That makes sense.
maybe your those friends' family had a little bit more patience because maybe
They were all really well educated too.
and maybe they were well off and they have the time to actually sit there and have a conversation.
True.
When
That
you
right
have,
there.
Yeah, true.
you're not
Very
that well
true.
off and you worked I don't know how many hours doing
True.
whatever job you can get, and you come home and you have a kid who's screaming at 10 o'clock at night
Yeah.
just for fun, and you're like, buddy, you gotta use your inside voice, and you're like, why?
Right.
I do not
Because I said so. Is the
that's the answer. So I emphasize on both sides. I put myself in, even though I'm not a parent, but I've worked with children. I've done extended day and camp counseling and stuff. And man, patience.
So what both of you said, just genius, by the way. We are, real quick, round of applause for us, because we're fucking killing it after being away for a while. So you're welcome, listening podcast world.
You're so welcome.
Man, is the ground made with money? Because we're dropping these gems right now. But anyway, so what you were saying, like when you think about like, okay, so you said it's your white friend's parents. So growing up with parents that were immigrants and came from the West Indies, I always felt like a stepchild because I'm growing up in urban 90s New York, and all my friends are like, into the whole hip hop fashion of Jordans and the Bugs Bunny, and Taz crisscross shirts, and the, you know what I mean, like the cross colors and all these styles. And I was just like, it's the end. I'm an artist.
Mars is like, is that a vintage store you're describing?
I might buy you one of those shirts for Christmas because they still
cute.
sell them. They have them at Avalon, I'm sure. I actually have one that I got from an Etsy shop. Nice. Shout out to Etsy, support your local artists. But anyway,
so you were into the hip hop.
I was into like the culture because I'm an artist and because I love music and I want to take part in this, just like everyone literally does now, even our parents.
Yeah.
But at the time, my parents coming from the West Indies, Johnny, why you want to look like everyone else? You want to wear baggy pants and shirt and they always want to question it.
Johnny.
Yeah, that's how they would say it. And I'm like, I don't want to like be someone else. I just want to express this side of myself because Nas is my favorite rapper and I love Looney Tunes.
And it's just the culture you grew up in.
It's the culture there's no way you can walk around New York and not like want to partake. It's like
it's also showcasing like your likes and interests.
Exactly. Like
today we do it through social media. Like, oh, I'm into this, I'm into that. It's in our bio. But now back then, depending on how you dress, you can identify what kind of music that person might be into.
Yeah.
If you have all these piercings and spikes and black attire, you're probably into rock or ska. If you're wearing baggy pants or Timbs, you're probably into Nas, Wu-Tang, If
you had the bleach blonde hair, you like Nirvana and like the chain hanging. Like before, 2003 when everything just kind of melted together.
And everyone just said, who cares?
Yeah.
It's depending on the mood.
You could be a skater who likes hip hop. You could be a heavy metal artist who likes jazz. But I wanted to identify with these things just because I was a kid and I wanted to express myself. My parents saw it as I was being rebellious and I wanted to look like the world and I wanted
the world.
Yeah.
The world.
God, my parents said that shit too.
And now we can have these conversations and they will say they won't say they're wrong because they're West Indian, but they'll say
Real.
I didn't get it back then, but they never had to raise kids that didn't come from the same country that they did. Like when you think about that,
oh yeah,
I never thought about it, but I was like, let's say when we have kids, they're going to be American kids that we raised in America. And all my friends that I grew up with, regardless of race, even if they were black, but they grew up in New York, their parents were like, I'm wearing Tim's with you because this is I'm part of New York. I'm part of, if you're in Florida, I'm buying you Crocs with me.
And gator repellent.
Do they have that?
No.
But they would get it because you're from the same area. You're from the same culture.
Yeah.
You get it.
Especially when you're a kid, you don't want to be different, really. I grew up with immigrant parents too, right? And you don't see other kids. And I grew up with Brazilian friends. And so, for the first time, in kindergarten and first grade, when I got, integrated into, other American children, I was so weird. I did, I dressed different. I, did different shit. How I interacted with people was different. I would hug people way too much. I learned really quickly not to hug people.
Really?
Yeah.
This is in kindergarten?
Yeah, I was too loving, apparently.
Oh, see, kindergarten, our generation, hugging was normal. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
you were just born a little late, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think that our generation might have messed it up for her generation. Thank you, Pee Wee Herman.
My bad. Why am I apologizing?
Yeah, it wasn't you.
I know, but I watched the show, and I was always yelling when the secret word came on.
Hey, John B.
Yo, that chair used to freak me out.
Yeah, it did. Okay. Google it.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can go on SG's.
Or likeus.com. Yeah, we should have an episode in the future
where I just look at things that you guys grew up on and try to guess what it is.
Where we have Mars in real time. Whenever we say something, she just Googles it and then looks at it and then reads us, hey Mars, what did you learn about Captain Kangaroo? And then she can tell us
her synopsis breakdown.
Would love to do a Zoomer interview with you guys.
Oh man,
that'd be great.
Jeez.
But yeah.
But yeah, as you get older, you definitely start understanding people more. I think I had that conversation with Ed earlier today. I said, I don't know if it's a combination to being 34 or this year or, dealing as a caregiver and being there for my wife, like while she's sick and basically fighting for her life. There's definitely a deeper understanding of the psychology behind people. And also, I have to give credit to my therapist too. Seeing him for the past, I don't know how long, it's definitely been months. I don't know, for 8 months. Yeah. Thank
I love how Hugo knows. Like, damn, that's a real friend.
That's a really great friend.
I'm just thinking back to our last haircut.
All right. So maybe his Christmas present might go up $1. Hey. It goes up $1.
A whole dollar?
I mean, it was 1. That was 2,
That's a 100% increase.
That's keeping it rosy. But definitely, I'm like having these conversations with people like we normally do here, but not being afraid to have the conversations and listening more. That's been like, it's funny. It's something I've been always wanting to work on, and now I'm seeing me do it. And also learning, and I learned this from my friend Pedro. Shout out to Pedro Latore in LA. Good homie. He said, love listens. And I know that's just like, okay. It's like a throwaway song. Like, song lyric. Love listens. Like, no, but...
It's not a common song. It should be.
It just sounds like...
Love listens, beautiful African queen in the back of my dreams. You the complexion of satin and cream.
Ooh.
All the things that I mastered to see. You know it's not true. I messed it up with Erykah Badu.
And then it's like, gotta love and listen. Don't be singing over people while they're talking, because you have to listen.
Was that Jill Scott?
Yeah. Golden. That's my Jill Scott impression. Golden. She has one song that says,
Living my life like it's golden.
I don't know, like half the things you guys talk about with reference.
Okay. All right, we'll bring it back. And that's why you should have given us that compliment earlier.
Sorry, guys.
I definitely have been listening more. And for example, I had like a 4-hour conversation with my father-in-law. Wasn't intentional to be 4 hours, but he's finally started reaching out and saying, hey, we should talk. And I was like, he's like Italian, and when someone tells you we need to talk, it sounds like,
you gonna murder me?
Yeah, like am I in trouble? Am I gonna be like,
I have to make an offer to you, the husband of my wife? Doesn't he call you his son-in-law?
I told him too. I was like, yo, is there something wrong? He's like, no, just communication's good. I want to be on the same page and things. And I was like, okay, well, I can call you.
Oh my gosh.
He was like, well, it's weird, but I'd rather do it in person. I'm like, dude, you are not making this feel nothing wrong. Like,
right.
You're making this feel more bigger than it is. But kind of find out, because I had to hit up my mother-in-law, like, yo, is everything good? And she was like, yo, he's just trying to like reach out and trying to connect. And that's rare for him. So I'll take advantage of that. And I was like, interesting. And then, so we met up for coffee, man. Finally met up for coffee. We talked, and I got to know him in a different way. Instead of getting to know him through my wife's mouth, and then getting to know him from his own mouth,
so different.
It was different.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot like, oh, I've heard that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I've heard that. But it was like, it's nice to hear it from you. Mm-hmm. It sucks that it took 12 years to do this, but hey, better late than never, right?
And if ever there was a year to do it,
this is the year. This is the year. And yeah, man, but we were still able, and I appreciate this from him, to be able to be respectful and not have to we didn't get in arguments or anything, but there was some agrees to disagrees, or just okay, you see it that way, I respect that, but I see it this way. I hope you can respect that. And it was a lot of that. And it was interesting. 2 different generations, even though we're both Christians, even under being Christians, there's still so many different well, I don't really believe on that, or I disagree with this, but I agree with this part or that part. And now that you can pick and choose, I hear all the Christians right now listening to this pod, like, you can't pick and choose what verse works for you, okay? And you take the whole meal, you take the Genesis all the way to Revelation. You know, I'm just like, yo, relax. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is just like, all right, man, like you want to use more oils when you pray. I want to just use more me praying. Like, I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, man, I'm definitely also, what was I said earlier? I said, no matter what happens at the end of this year, I'm totally another person. And I don't mean that in a bad way. There's, if anything, these trials and tribulations, these traumas, because like we're all affected. Like whether, even if you're rich, you've been hit some type of way. You weren't able to go to EDC this year for the VIP experience. You know,
or if you're rich, you use this pandemic to get richer. Fuck you, Amazon.
But they have their own problems. They're like, I'm so rich, but I can't spend it because there's nothing open to do. Oh no.
Oh no.
Are they Italian? I can't spend all of this money.
When I think of rich people, I'm sorry, American accents don't come to mind. Because American accent, I think of, here we go, get them goods. Like,
I'm a millionaire.
Millionaire, that's right. You know, like.
Which side note? So when we were traveling to Pennsylvania, we had to, stop in all, the southern states and shit. Ooh. And so we stopped at Georgia to get gas at one point. And we go into the grocery store, and I mean, we're in the fucking middle, like nowhere, Georgia, right? And we go in, and Martin and I are the only ones that have masks on when we get in. And then every single worker didn't have masks either. And so as we're leaving, the cashier comes to me. She's like, why are you wearing that? And I'm like, I am not home anymore.
She said, why are you wearing
that?
To your face?
To my face, bro.
Like she didn't
I mean, not to my face, to my mask. Yeah.
That's like another side conversation.
Yeah, no, I just,
no, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying I'm saying that could go into we could talk about that for a whole.
It was just more funny than anything else.
That's insane.
Yeah.
We need to unpack that. We need to have that conversation at some point.
That makes sense.
We need to talk about this.
Yeah.
The last time I dated a Southern girl, I put on a condom and she said the same thing.
Oh no!
Why are you wearing that?
Frankie, that was me.
You are such a Southern belle.
I know.
Jeez.
He's so old-fashioned. Using rubbers.
Anyways.
But how have you been, Frankie?
Are we doing the interview part?
Yeah, we're doing the interview part. This is my podcast now.
We got 20 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is good. This is exactly what we need. 20 minutes.
Unless we want to kind of ramp up to it and then maybe at the cliffhanger before the second half.
We are not using Frankie for views and content.
No. We're not.
Thank you.
We're not. We're not. Because
I don't know how I feel about this situation right now. Is this when the ping ball gets stuck in the middle?
You gotta bump it.
I gotta bump it. I gotta tilt. You gotta tilt it a little bit. So I don't know how to feel. All right. To answer your question, yeah, man. I don't even know. That's a hard question. How do you feel? Well, right now, I'm mentally exhausted.
Yeah, you looked, it's interesting, when you came into the door, I felt like you were in kind of a different person, almost. Like, you seemed a lot heavier than, you normally are. And it's interesting that you can really see that just by looking at a person.
That's crazy.
I felt it in our hug.
Yeah, my hugs are longer now.
Oh.
I felt it. We ever, hug somebody and it's just
Yeah.
I felt
you can feel like it's just they're hugging you to be polite, but then when you're hugging you and you're like, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hold. It's a good hold.
Yeah, man. So what was it, a month ago? We were celebrating that Becca was back home from being back in the hospital for another visit because she got pneumonia and a little bit of this cough. And then we thought she was getting better and she was able to come home. And then one of those nights, she just started breathing short. And it was it's an anxiety attack. And I'm like, baby, relax. Woosah, come on, get out of your head. It's okay. Everything's fine, And you can't blame her, you know, those who have been following with Rebecca Joy, you know, and like her story, my wife's story. It's like you had Hodgkin's lymphoma, you beat it through getting a stem cell transplant, but then you get graft versus host disease, and then on top of that, your immune system is really weak because you after the stem cell transplant, it's like being a newborn, but then it's happening a year where there's this virus that's going around, so you have to be extra careful. Yeah. And thank God, no, my wife does not have COVID. She did not get COVID, but she got 4 different lung infections. Like one was like staph, you know, which is also a blood infection. That's now under control. Praise the Lord, so I won't freak you guys out. But pneumonia and 2 other ones I couldn't even pronounce. They're like Brafafry and Rishify.
Yes, I know that one. Studied that one extensively.
I do not know. You would think that I would know a lot of like medical terminology, but man, I did not do well on the spelling bee, so don't even ask me how to say these words. So she's been through a lot. So yeah, she was breathing short, and then finally when she was sleeping, she was still doing the shortness of breath, and I was like, that's not anxiety. That's like your body. So I had to call it in. The doctor's like, you know what, take her to the ER. Let's just play it safe. Long story short, they were like, the way she's going, she's going to tire herself out. We recommend putting her on a ventilator. And, you know, Becca agreed to it. And they asked her the question that I never thought I would hear until I was like in my 70s. You know, while you're unable to speak in your behalf, do you want your husband to be basically your POA? And, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, she's like, yeah, we already talked about it. It's on the will, you know, so... yeah, definitely work on your wills. You know,
how does that feel being someone's POA?
Heavy as fuck.
Yeah,
but it's something that like it's not like oh no, what? No, it's like it's like when you're sitting in the window the emergency exit. You know that you have to agree that like, hey, in case of an emergency, can we count on you to assist us? You know, you get the extra leg room, but you might have to like help like people out if we, you know, have an accident. That's kind of like marriage, you know what I mean? Like you go into this plane, you get the extra leg room, if you know what I mean. I still am nasty. It's okay.
Still here.
Still here. Frank Rose is still here.
You talking about sex?
Yeah. Okay. You get extra leg room, but you know, you also have that responsibility that you signed up for if, you know, better or worse, richness and poor, sickness and health, death do us part. That's the vows, you know, that's what we do. And that's what I'm standing by, you know? And so through all the, because this kind of happened from the outside looking in, it seemed like it happened very quickly. It escalated very quickly. So how did you feel like from the time you noticed her breathing irregularity to like the time where shit started getting real? Like, how did that feel time wise for you, or like what were you what were you going through in that moment? So at first it was just more like I don't know. It's like I put on my big boy pants, you know, and it's like, all right, caretaker mode. Here we go. Boom, boom, lock in. Maybe that comes from being the oldest or working with kids and stuff. It's just like you're ready, like. And at first, which sucks, and I'm gonna be honest, like there's this guilt of. Fuck, we're gonna go back to the hospital. I was upset about that, but it's not upset in the selfishness, and I know that isn't. Some people might be like, "Yeah, bullshit." No, I mean it because I'm upset because that upsets her.
Yeah,
she does not want to go back to the Who wants to go back to the hospital and stay for another week?
It after being 2 weeks there? Because your wife has to be uncomfortable, and you don't like seeing her like that.
Yeah, so of course I'm like, I got a little bit of an attitude, you know, a little bit of a frustration of just like, all right, come on, baby, let's go. Hang in there. I know. We're going to get you there. Just, and I, you know, at first I try to give her like her medicines and stuff. And she has a little like, you know, nebulizer, asthma pump, all that stuff. But it was just like our shit at home is not working. So we get there, we go to the ER, and the first phase of it's like, yo, this is starting to get a little more real is when I'm doing most of the talking. Not that like I don't talk before, but Becca's, if you know Becca, she's very independent. She's very independent. She likes that. She's, you know, a bit of a control freak, and I mean that in a positive way, you know. And she's like, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. You know, I'm so and so. I'm here. I feel this. I feel that." I'm telling them. I have to say, she's feeling this. She's feeling that. She's feeling this. And because she's just short of breath, you know, and yeah, man, they didn't take it lightly. So we went into the ER, and we've been to the ER before, but this was a lot more people than than the last couple of times. And then seeing all those people, and then when they put a little mini Darth Vader mask, like a little like oxygen masking, and like I can't hear her voice like that, like talk like normal anymore. That got scary. Mm-hmm. That's when I had a moment. That's when I'm like kind of like praying in my head and standing in the back while they're doing the whole welcome to an episode of like Grey's Anatomy, you know, check in, make sure she doesn't have COVID, getting samples of her blood to see what's going on, do the x-ray of the chest. And then it's just finally like, so it was a lot of like crazy and then like chill.
And I think another thing that people don't really realize when you are someone's POA is just like the burden of having to deal with everyone's opinion on something, right? Like everyone's got a different opinion, like, and at the end of the day, like you are going to upset someone, and usually that person is like family related. And that is such a heavy burden to carry. I've seen it happen with so many people. By your expression, I feel like
if people can see my face right now on the pod,
eyes are wide as saucers. Right now.
Yeah, man. You know, I mean no disrespect to my in-laws, but I think they have a hard time with seeing their daughter and not having control.
Oh, I can't even. Yeah, I'm sure that is really tough.
Which I think any parent, right? Yeah. You know, so okay, so I didn't have to do the disclaimer. Maybe I still do. But it's difficult when your wife has been vocally clear about, even in her will, that like you're my POA, my husband. Something happens to you, it's like her sister and then like her brother. It's not even like her parents. You know? I know that. Whoops. Cat's out the bag, but oh well, you know, you can do that. You can do your will. Here's the thing, like, who's going to give you the peace? Who knows you the most? Who do you trust? Not that you don't trust your parents, but kind of circling back on that topic, you know, our parents are from an older generation, and sometimes they don't understand why, I don't know, we decide to sell a house out in suburbia and pay for an apartment downtown in the metropolitan area. They're like, that's crazy. And like for us, like, we love it, you know, like, yeah, man. And I think it was like a little bit of a shocker for them at first. I think it was a little bit harder for them, you know, like backstory a lot, you know, maybe you guys, some people know, some people don't know, you know, they lost a son from a different cancer, you know, well, similar, it was non-Hodgkin's, Jared, non-Hodgkin's, Becca had Hodgkin's, 2 years prior, Becca got diagnosed. So I was like, crap, this has got to be triggering, because they gave me a call, man. A few days later, we usually go from the emergency room to her like bone marrow unit, 11th floor, woman's tower. The nurses know her. The doctor's like, you know, you've been there. Hugo's come over before COVID. We were allowed to have 3 guests. Now we only have one guest per day. Yeah. Sucks.
They couldn't get the TV to work. We were trying to get the volume up.
We're trying to get the volume. We were trying to do a movie night. Hugo brought popcorn. It was the whole thing.
That's so cute.
It was fun. But now, instead of going there, we went to the ICU. And I was like, never been to the ICU before. And then never really understood what ICU stands for. I was like, what was it? Intensive care unit. Like, basically, we're trying to save you. And, yeah, man, when after they put in a, what's you call it? The ventilator. It's like a tube down her throat. Dude, and she's like out, of course. But I thought that she would wake up, you know, the next day, like little surgery, and she kind of know, like, all right, this is temporary.
That's what they told you, right? I remember like seeing like an update.
What they told us. But then Every time they would try to lower the sedation, try to make sure that she's a little more comfortable, she started breathing short again. And instead of breathing with the ventilator, now you're like breathing with it or breathing against it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they would have to put her back, to relax her body. And I basically haven't heard my wife speak for like 2.5 weeks. Like, that's starting to hit me really hard these past few days. Yeah, get the napkins. I was going to bring the tissue box. I forgot it.
You know, it's funny because we're like, Hugo, are you okay? He's like, what the fuck, guys? I'm fine.
Shut up.
Yo. Yeah, man.
I don't know what you're talking about. They can't see my face.
Yeah, they can't see these tears. You can hear in the background. Like on the mic.
Hey, turn the faucet off.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do tears have COVID?
What'd you say?
Do tears have COVID?
I don't know. I hope not.
Do you remember the last words that you guys spoke to each other?
Not really. Not clear. That's
Especially like in that, but I mean, in that moment, it was so quick.
And you weren't expecting
and it's not like she was really like speaking. She was so short of breath.
That's right.
Like after you finish working out or doing a run and you're catching your breath, imagine doing that just laying down. That's what she was doing. So I was like that, and it's just like it's hard to even speak. It's just like that was eating me up, and this is the segue. That was eating me up. The shoulda, coulda, wouldas. What is the last words we said? Oh, what could I have done different? Oh, this or that or that. And this, and you can't. To all my caregivers out there, to the parents out there, to the siblings out there, to the friends out there, you cannot. I repeat, you cannot beat yourself up about what you could have done, should have done, would have done differently. It doesn't help right now. Yeah. It doesn't. If anything, it pisses me off. But
when you posted that picture on Thanksgiving, I lost my shit.
My bad.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Because like I'm a sensi. The men in my family cry, okay?
I'm one of those men now.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like actually Mars, you take it away. Circle back to me.
Yeah, man. You're talking about the post on Thanksgiving here, and that's a good segue because I was at this crossroad where I was like, all right, I'm gonna post every day. I might do a live or something, Like back in the day on Snapchat, I used to do Soulful Saturdays where I would just
I love those.
Yeah, you remember
those?
I'd be like, see Frankie driving to work. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday. That was the OG Keeping It Rosy.
That was like the OG Keeping It Rosy. Yeah, every Saturday I drove to work. I got a Snapchat, put it on a record, and just like little lo-fi music in the background, and gave my thought of the week. Something I learned basically.
Yeah, that's right.
And I thought about that. I thought about every week, or every day expressing something and sharing something and updating or whatever. But then I thought about all the response I'm going to get. And I don't want to be distracted right now from being at my wife's side. Because I have to tweet, I have to snap, I have to Insta story or Facebook update.
Right. Yeah.
So I made this like subconscious decision of like, I'm just going to lay low from social media. I'm going to be Dave Chappelle and go to Africa.
I'm going to Africa.
That's good. See,
I took the rest of the month off thanks to all the donations that our friends and family in our community were like, hey, we want to like help you like not have to go to work this month so that you can just be there for her. And when she wakes up, you're by her side versus like getting a call in the middle of a haircut and have to run to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
While all this is happening, like I wanted to like text you and like obviously we communicate a little bit. Yeah. But I was thinking like I'm sure he's getting texted by a million people, and you're not in the mood where you feel like you want to be answering like, "How's it going?" Like, I swear, if one more fucking person is like, "Is that how you felt?" Like,
it wasn't so much thank God through text. It's more like if you open Facebook, your messenger, it's like, whoa, and if you've had Facebook for, I don't know, 7+ years, you've accumulated
many friends.
And if you're like in networking, like
true.
Your clients, your music
clients, hair, whatever, like it's all that. So that was another reason why I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lay low off this because it was just like it's too much. But at the same time, I had this weird thing of like I had to clear my box. So I just kind of like pick moments like when I was like in the mood to like kind of go back halfway and like, thank you, appreciate it, blah blah blah. Luckily, before Becca and I asked Becca to start a private Facebook page for the family and friends to keep updated, with them,
up with Rebecca.
Yeah, and she did that. Usually, she's the one that updates.
That's right. Yeah.
And now it was a little bit of me, but it was just too much for me because I was updating like her parents and my parents. Like, I'm like, I can't, I don't want to be consumed by that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Becca's been more aware now and more awakened. They actually were able to take the tube out. She's still on a ventilator, but they had to do a little trig. So she's now like awaking and more alert, like can shake her head yes or no. But it's still not all there. The best is messed up. Like, keep it a Rosey, right? The best way to describe it is like your baby being born and now becoming more of like, oh, your mom. Oh, it's daytime. I think we're getting into that phase because she's been sedated for so long. And that's going to be like a little bit of a, it's a bit like this. It was like she went down, like 3 weeks ago. and you wake up, talk about jet lag, possibly. I don't know. And then she's trying to mouth words, but she can't really. She doesn't understand.
She can like squeeze your hand, like
a little bit. There's moments she can't. She's really weak because all the antibiotics that they've given her and stuff, and she's been feeding basically through a tube. Now it's like through her stomach or whatever. Yeah, man.
Becca's a fighter, man.
Becca's a fighter, and that's what I'm saying. Like basically, like 2 weeks ago, the doctor said, "We'll see how the next couple of days go. You should call her parents. When are they coming?" I was like, "Oh, the day after tomorrow." They're like, "You should see if they can come sooner." I'm like, "The hell?"
Yeah. Well,
that sucked.
Yeah.
Having to call your in-laws and tears saying the doctor says you guys should come. And and it wasn't a call of saying like I gave up, like it's God, she's done, it's not gonna work anymore. No, I was like, just in case, guys. And that's something I've been going through so much evolving. One of the major things I had to get to this crossroad, and some people may agree and some people may disagree, and that's okay. That's your prerogative. This is what I had to do for my psyche. I had to look at the road and say, like, there's two versions of the story. There's version A, Becca doesn't make it. This is the end of the road. And now she goes to heaven where there's no more pain and she's done. And now that's like the pro. Like, okay, she's no longer in pain, but the con is now I have to learn to live a life without my wife and my best friend. Which is not, sorry. Everyone listening right now is like, pause, tears. I hate this guy. The other side of the road, though.
We're consoling here.
The other side of the road is that there's a possibility, and I still do believe in God. I believe that miracles do happen. I've had conversations with nurses and doctors, and they're like, well, she's young. And, her heart's still going. Like, they check her brain, it's still functioning. You know what I mean? Like, she's fighting. And there's a chance that this could be another bump on the road. It's a possibility that this could be a crazy ass story. The book that she started writing is just going to get even better. As her sister said today to me, she's like, Becca's book is just going to get even better. And I'm like, yeah, not by choice, but yes, definitely could be. This girl got a story, and if that could be a possibility too. And I'm in this weird, like, I had to let go of the control, and it's weird. for all my spiritual or, Christian believers, there's this mentality of like, well, before she was your wife, she's God's daughter. And it's weird. And I had that thought kind of, on a loop in my head. And it's just like, it kind of helped me in the sense if things went south, if things went bad, well, she's home with, our Heavenly Father. And there's that subject that it could be a whole other wave of like, people say, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you cope? And I'm like, one, having faith, having my religion, having my belief definitely helps. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I look crazy because I look like a crazy person in my house having straight up screaming, cursing arguments with God. And it's like my neighbors are like, who is he talking to?
Yeah.
Is it therapy? Is therapist on Zoom right now? But no one's responding. And it's like, and then there's breakdowns and there's tears and then there's this weird feelings of sometimes of just like, is that you, God? Like kind of showing me like I still got you, because they told me she had days. Now they're saying, well, I'm going to make sure that she's getting these medicines and then we're going to weave it off around January. Mm-hmm. In other words, they're looking at weeks now. They're looking at months. We posted online like, pray, can you guys please pray, and technically according to the EKG, she had 2 heart attacks. And when they checked for her heart scan and all that stuff, it's looking fine. But it's funny that it was looking fine after we posted, hey, everybody, pray. If you have a moment, just keep my wife in prayer. And people just reposting and sharing and, didn't realize the impact that maybe like my wife has made and myself within our friends, our communities. And it's just like, it's been such an amazing support. Amazing support. Like people just randomly like Venmoing me. They're like, yo, don't worry about going to work. Coworkers saying, don't worry about, we paid your rent. Your, like stuff like that, man. It was just like those moments. It sounds weird. I felt like that's kind of like God saying, I know I haven't answered your first big request, but I know that you need these things and I'm making sure you're getting them. I'm making sure what you need right now. What I really want her to be healed, back at home, and celebrate a Merry Christmas, just like those Hallmark cheesy movies. Every Christmas miracle, But this is the reality that I sit in, and this is the reality that is my life. And I have to choose to either seek down into a depression, don't do anything, don't take care of myself. If I don't take care of myself, how do I take care of her? So I force myself to work out. I force myself to meditate, get my headspace on. I force myself to listen to sermons or do a little devotional. I force myself to reach out to my pastors, to my friends, to my counselors, to my boys, to my pod, to my small circle of people. But I also allow myself to have boundaries. Like, I don't have anybody in my crib right now. If I want someone over, yeah, I invite somebody over. But if I want to be alone, I'm alone. And I need and I want a safe place to process. I think if anyone, if there's an advice, if there's something that we learn, is allow yourself to give yourself a safe place to process and have self-awareness. If you don't read your body, you don't know what you need. How do you feel? You haven't taken the time out to see how you feel. So I've been doing that. I'm checking in on myself. I tell my friends that check in on me, I'm like, it's okay. You're not annoying me. I know you don't want to be that guy. I actually do appreciate it. I appreciate the just thinking of you. Just, hey, I'm here. It's just saying if you need me, I'll be over here. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You know what I mean? And it's such a blessing to have that. I can't imagine people going through this without a community of friends and family. Yeah. How do people do that?
Becca's made such a big impact on so many people's lives. So much, in fact, that the people's lives that she's impacted have impacted other people who've never met her to want to support her.
Yeah. Random people I never heard of.
Oh, no way. I didn't
Like
know
people
that.
like I don't really know, and they're just like, "Hey, we're sending you this. Hey, can we feed you? Hey, can we do
Yeah.
that?" Like
She did one of my friend's weddings, my friend Melanie and Ryan, and they met like maybe a couple times like at my 30th birthday party, and she did her wedding. But like when all this happened, Melanie was texting me like, "I'm praying for Becca. I just want you to know, like, let Frankie know that we're thinking about her." And you never think about like how, like obviously she's affected us, but the people on the outside of that.
it makes me think about like almost the importance, like if I had a child, you know, and I wanted to teach him a lesson, not teach him a lesson, hold on. I wanted to educate my young man or young woman. Hey man, it's karma is real. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I think one of the reasons I picked Becca to be my wife, that sounded really messed up. All right. So yeah, guys, that's part one. We'll come back in part two. We'll talk more about it. I want to open up with you guys, and this is my therapy. All right. KeepingitRosey.com. Part two. Coming soon.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. It helps us pay the bills. And remember, when life gives you lemons, always keep it rosy.